welcome in everybody, whether you're on the East Coast, West Coast, or around the world. This is Coast to Coast. We got the Philly sports guy. That was quite the game.
Quite the game. I mean, do we start with my game or do we start off with Saturday?
I mean, we might as well start with yours, right? I imagine you're still thawing out a little bit.
Actually, I dressed really warm yesterday, so I was not cold even in the slightest bit. The snowballs were not, like you could make them. You could make them. Initially, it was hailing most of the game. It wasn't really snow. It was really like ice pellets. And then it did switch to snow towards the end. When they started fumbling the ball, when the Rams started really fumbling the ball a lot, that's when it was really more snow than anything else. But it was a lot closer than we wanted it to be. I mean, it did go down to the 15-yard line. Jalen Carter coming up with a really big sack at the end. And I tell you, Saquon, I mean, I would just love to say again, thank you, Giants. This is this is the gift that just continues to keep on giving and giving and giving and giving. So, and it was funny because right before that, I mean, they showed, I think I saw some type of clip or whatever where he kind of looks like they saw the defense set up and he looked over at Hurts. And he's like, and literally, and it was just, I mean, I don't know of any running back who has had 4 plays of 65 yards plus against one team, like ever in the same season. Like, I mean, I don't know if they mentioned it. I don't know if anybody spoke about it, but he had 470-plus yard runs.
Yeah, that's crazy.
460 yards of total rushing against one team in one season.
Yep. No, that's wild.
that exchange, where he was like, he gave that look like, I see it. I know you do too.
Yep. Yeah, no, I like that because as soon as he looked over, he's like, I got this. And he did. He did. He took that thing to the house.
That was awesome. It was awesome to kind of do that. Obviously the passing game is still non-existent. I mean, and you could blame a little bit on the snow, but not enough about it. Couple of bad sacks taken by Jalen Hurts. Was just like the safety. Like, come on, dude, come on. You gotta have an internal clock better than that. Like, you just got to.
Not just that, but how do you not have a hot out route so you can just get rid of the ball? I mean, a safety is a possibility there. How you don't have an outbreaking route that you can sail the ball on to save yourself, that makes no sense to me at all.
Exactly. Exactly correct. And it made me wonder if that was a call, the play call caused that, or, I'm actually more apt to believe that it was Jalen Hurts that did that.
Like
improperly.
Backed out of the call.
Well, not backed out of the call, but just didn't have the read right. You know what I mean? And just came up.
Yeah, but I mean, they came through so fast that
they did a tremendous amount of blitzing.
They did.
So there was, and they had some blitzes disguised pretty well. So I don't want to say that it was the offensive line's part. I mean, obviously there was certain things that happened that the offensive line did give up a couple of sacks there. And I think that had to do with more of a little bit of slippage, like when every once in a while you're going to slip, and especially when you're in those conditions. But ultimately, they disguised the blitz pretty well yesterday, and they were able to get in and get some pressure on them. But that's why, like, you could tell that's what was going on. They were about to blitz again, and that's when he goes,
yep.
It's like,
you can see the gap.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So it's like I think that this is it's just it's going to be a little different against Washington, although they have that one cornerback who they got in a trade, and he's okay. He's a good cornerback, obviously. Uh, it's going to be a little bit easier for the passing game. I know that they're going to probably try to stack the box. They're going to want to make Jalen Hurts beat them.
Yeah, which makes sense. Which makes sense.
Ex-
And
ex-
you're right. Lattimore is good. So I mean, he will disrupt your ability to throw the ball. And I mean, I am curious what's wrong with your passing game because yeah, you can blame some of it on the snow, I guess, but I
Not
mean,
enough of it. Not enough of it.
Stafford went for over 300 yards, so like clearly you
Yeah,
could throw in it.
but Stafford threw for 150 yards in the last 4 minutes of the game.
No, but I'm saying you can complete passes.
Right.
Like
Yeah, but that's what I was getting at. Like it's just it. I want to say that there was maybe not necessarily a prevent defense, but they were giving it a little bit. And losing Quinyon Mitchell was,
sure,
could have been disastrous. Could have been disastrous. So, thank God he's going to be okay. He hurt his shoulder a little bit, but he's going to be all right. Um, I mean, I said it's going to be I think it's going to be a really interesting game against Washington. Washington is playing, lights out,
nope,
lights out.
yeah,
Um,
no, like this is going to be a better game than like if you would have told me that this was going to be the matchup in the championship game, I'd have been like, oh, Washington's about to get ran over. But the way they've been playing and as calm as they've been in situations where you would think being a younger team, they wouldn't be. Um, this is going to be a good game.
well, first off, it's the NFC Championship game, so you have to do a lot of things to be able to get here in the first place.
No question.
And the fact that Washington has won on the road now, I think it's what 3 games in a row. Because I mean, realistically, they won the 2 playoff games on the road, but they won against the Giants on the road too to secure the 6th spot and not
Yep.
the 7th spot. Because this game could have been in Philadelphia for the wild card round.
True.
So I mean, you think about that in that regard, there's a lot to be said for that too. I think that they are. I mean, they're going to be a very formidable opponent, and you know what this also tells me that the NFC East was by far the strongest division in the NFL. That's what this told me. That there isn't like, listen, you got the teams, you got the Chiefs, you got the Bills, you have Baltimore, but you know that the NFC East is really where it was at, and there's a reason why. I even told the Giants fan yesterday when I saw him, I'm like, "Hey, listen, you could feel okay about the fact that you're still in the best division in football. You just happen to be the worst team in that division."
Pretty much. Pretty much. It was funny watching all the hype of the North just to have them fall apart.
Right. So same thing with the Cowboys.
Yes.
But it wasn't really a snow game. I mean, the first half there wasn't any snow, and then there really became, like I said, it was ice,
Yeah.
and then it laid. It was not even an inch. It was not even an inch.
Nah,
So
just it made the field white. Like that was it.
right,
You
that's
know?
exactly it. They were using a blower,
Yeah.
to just blow the snow away from the lines. It wasn't like they needed a shovel or anything like that. It was,
Yeah.
you know, it was actually like I said, it was enough to be an issue
Mhm.
at one point in the game. You know what I mean? Like in the middle of the third to fourth quarter, when it really started coming down, you had those like, okay, that's going to be a little bit disruptive, making sure like visual, like seeing things and stuff like that. The snow was going to get in the way, but short of that, it really wasn't.
I mean,
It
even
really
with a
wasn't a
little bit
factor.
though, it does disrupt the footing a little bit. Um, and then obviously, it can make the ball slick. You see a lot of dropped passes in that instance, and then of course, you started seeing all those fumbles.
Right. Well, yeah, that was the big deal here. I mean, that was really what allowed the Eagles to do it. I mean, the defense has been playing lights out, and that ultimately, I feel that if Quinyon Mitchell didn't get hurt when he did, that game probably would have not even gone that close where they were going
Mm,
uh, to do that. So my expectation is that like I said, he's going to be back next week. You're going to definitely have him on Scary Terry,
yep.
and it's going to be, like I said, it's going to be a good game. I don't believe Washington's going to score as many points as they have been. They
Yeah.
put on 45 against a non-existent defense. Like that's the Detroit realized. I mean, I guess we might as well start talking about some of these Saturday games. Detroit
Oh,
realized, I think, in that first quarter or even that second quarter, they could not do the same thing that they were doing to the Vikings.
yep.
That the rush was not the answer there, and they were scrambling to figure it out after that,
Yeah.
and that was part of the problem. I was having a conversation with Mac on Sunday that they asked if that game did something for the stock of the defensive coordinator on getting a head coaching job. And I was like, I don't think so. I don't believe that. I mean, he was playing with scraps off the trash heap and was able to call great games to get to that point, to
Mhm.
beat the Vikings and to do those things. I think that you just ran into a buzzsaw that had too many weapons, that was firing on all cylinders, and you came in with a game plan that didn't work,
Yes.
and the adjustments were needed to be too severe, and you didn't have the talent.
Yeah.
That's really what it came down to. So there was a lot of different things I felt in the Washington game, because it was like, I mean, I've never seen an NFL game have an over under at 65,
Yeah.
and they killed it. They crushed it. So
Yeah.
I mean, it was almost crushed by half.
Oh, yeah. 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 No, there was an insane amount of yardage at halftime. I think they were already over 600 yards at half for the two teams. Like it was crazy.
So, but it was I mean, it was it kind of went a little bit more, and then you know that defense made the mistake of the 12 men on the field. Oh my lord. Oh my lord. That
That
was
was
a
terrible.
killer.
That was terrible.
That was such a killer. And then it was like that did it. That
Yes.
did it, because you're close. You could hold them to a field goal. Now you're only 6 points away. A touchdown actually puts you in the lead,
Yep.
and
Yeah.
nope.
No, that iced the game. Like that was
Well, and it was a penalty. It's a penalty because the delay of game, and you find out that the delay of game don't care because you got 12 men on the field.
exactly.
So,
Yeah. 'Cause
which
when it was funny because I didn't count the 12. So when I saw the flag come out, I thought it was a delay. I was like, oh, they're definitely going to have to settle for a field goal now. And then they're like 12 men on the field. I was like, oh man, you cannot do that.
Joe, you know that doesn't make any sense, right? Because we had Barkley. So, I mean, you can't really say that we're lucky that we have Barkley, because if we didn't have Barkley, we would have other ways to be able to try to win this game. So you can't say that. I mean,
Yeah.
that's not a really
Well,
intelligent statement.
and it's not like without Barkley, you just weren't going to have a running back. Like,
Well, yeah, because Gainwell was running at 10 yards a clip.
yeah, well,
So, I mean,
not even just that, but if you're going into this season without Barkley, I'm guessing you address the situation.
right, we have you could have had David Montgomery. We could have had a number of different players that could
Exactly.
have filled that role pretty well. So I'm not. Yes, Barkley is great. We
Yep.
are, we are still chanting MVP for him. But
Yep.
to say that, okay, we're lucky to have him. We ain't lucky. We paid for it.
I mean,
He's
you're
making his
lucky.
money.
I guess you're lucky he had the season he had
We're
based
lucky
on
we
the
played the where he was able to run for 460 yards. I think he would have
right.
205 yards yesterday, along
Yeah.
with the 255 yards in the first meeting with them. I mean, that's 460 yards. I mean, I'm not even counting. Let me say, because he had 305 all-purpose yards when they in that first game. Let's see how many all-purpose yards he had this time, because he did catch some passes too.
for sure.
Let's make sure that I get him his
And,
full.
and Chris, he had to deal with the bad footing as well. It's just the way he runs. He tends to plant and go instead of doing a whole lot of shake and bake to get around people. Like he finds his way north and south. When you run that way, even in bad footing, you have a good tendency because you're not trying to go back and forth a whole bunch. So it's not that he didn't have to deal with it. It's just his running style is good for bad footing. If you were to have like a Sean Alexander who needed to like finesse his way around people, it would not have been a great day for
him. And he had 232 yards. So all told, he had 537 all-purpose yards against the Rams this year.
Wild.
That's 2 games, by the way. I think that would constitute, if you had that every 2 games, you are an NFL god, is what that becomes.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much.
Yeah. The Rams need to call, Saquon their daddy. That's exactly correct.
Yeah, and I mean, like everybody was mad at the way they were calling penalties for Mahomes, but this isn't something new, right?
I'm going to address that. I mean, do we want to talk about that right this second?
I mean, sure, why not, right? The thing is one of those, to the letter of the law, I guess, was a roughing the passer, although I didn't like it in the moment. The other one didn't look like there was anything there at all.
Right. So it is embellishment. And in every other sport now, excuse me, they have fouls for this or penalties or whatever. And it's time now to invoke the Patrick Mahomes rule. This has got to happen. He embellished that one push where he stopped at the end, and it was a legal push. And then he went, whoa, like it flew out of bounds, like it was such a bad hit. And
I was really glad they didn't throw the flag.
Yeah, and that would have really constituted, but that was the embellishment on that.
Yes,
is really what's the problem. And the embellishment on that initial hit, yes, he did. It kind of hit here first, but it did hit at the the chin bar, and him going, oh, he's such an actor. He's such an actor. He's got a brother who does TikToks. So I mean, he's got
True.
A good teacher. But that's what's causing this. And it's time that the NFL really get on board with this. I have a feeling that you are going to see a lot of the owners sort of back that up. Like they're going to be like, no. Like we cannot continue to do this. He can't be the only one that gets away with this stuff. Because
especially when you watched Goff get blasted, no flag.
Right. Yeah, it's just like because he doesn't do that. Well, that one blast where he was on a block, so it's like he couldn't do anything about it. He got crushed on that block, and then luckily they didn't even put him in protocol, which is what I was surprised at that. But ultimately, that wasn't an illegal hit. But.
So now, no longer a Vikings fan, huh?
They're out, so I got Jaden Daniels is good. I figured out the heating problem, though, by the way.
Oh, yeah?
The switch got flipped to air conditioning.
That'd do it.
That'll do it every time.
So that's why it was not heating up to where it was supposed to be.
Yeah. That would be a problem.
So we're good now.
Sweet.
Not yet, but it's heating up. We're up to 66 now. It's getting there.
It's a good day.
So how does it feel to be in the sketchiest division in football?
See, this is the funny thing that I had to deal with a lot with Detroit Lion fans basically the last month. All these Lion fans came out saying the Minnesota Vikings were frauds because of all the one-score games they were winning and because of the strength of schedule. But what these stupid Lion fans failed to realize, 14 of their 17 games were the exact same schedule that Minnesota played. They all played the same division schedule, so they all played the Bears, the Packers, and each other twice. They all played the crappy AFC South. They all played the NFC West. There was only 3 games on their schedule that was different. That was based on how they finished last year in the division. So Detroit had their other 3 games against first-place teams. Minnesota had their other 3 games against like third or fourth-place teams. But 14 of the 17 games were the exact same team. So if you're calling Minnesota frauds and if you're calling Minnesota soft, you better be saying the same damn thing about your team because you played the same exact schedule and you look soft against Washington in a big way.
I mean, I don't know that they looked soft. They just turned the ball over like nothing else.
They couldn't get the pressure that everyone expected them to get. Like Washington's offensive line looked like the number 1 offensive line in football for a lot of that game. And their offensive line for the most part throughout the season was not that great.
I mean, when you're turning the ball over like that, your defense is on the field all day. Like,
no, before the turnovers even started, though, if you look at that first quarter, they couldn't get any pressure on Jaden Daniels at all. And that allowed Jaden Daniels to pretty much torch them right from the start. And, like, Washington's offensive line, I think, was ranked, 18th or 19th throughout the year? Like, their offensive line was not great, which is why Daniels had to run as much as he had to run because he didn't have the same kind of pass protection that Jared Goff had, the same kind of pass protection that Jalen Hurts and some of these other quarterbacks had. Detroit really did look soft against an offensive line that they should have feasted on. Like the way they played against Sam Darnold in Week 18, that's kind of what I expected it to happen to Jaden Daniels because that's pretty much how Washington's offensive line has played at times.
Well,
this right here, this messed up. Vegas won right here.
It didn't win me because I pushed. So I got lucky. Thank you for that.
Oh,
safety.
did you buy in at 9 instead of the 9.5 that it finished at?
Oh, it was at 9. It was at 9 when I got it. So, and I'm not putting any money on it. It was just the Mac picks. You know,
Oh, I got you. Because it moved to 9.5. So that happening lost a lot of people money.
So, yeah, the truth of the matter is that, again, Detroit was playing with ragtag defense.
Yeah.
They didn't have anybody there. And you
And then
could
when they
tell,
lost
like,
Rob-
Hutchinson was, like, itching to get, like, he's like, I know I'm at, like, 60% and could do better.
He probably would have suited up if you would have let him.
No question.
He absolutely would have. He absolutely would have.
I think
You
the
could tell he
game
was chomping at the bit.
I think the game changed when Robertson went out, though, in that second series of the game, that cornerback. Because once he went down with whatever injury he had, that's when Terry McLaurin started getting his yards, and that's when that other wide receiver started to get his yards because Terry and Arnold at that point was their only top cornerback out there. And Robinson was the one that really shut down Jefferson. Robinson was the one that kind of came into his own the final month of the season. So once he went out, it was pretty much Terry and Arnold and nobody else in the secondary. So you could pretty much move your wide receivers around any way you wanted to.
I mean, let's be real. Even if they had all their starters, it's tough to overcome 5 turnovers.
It is.
Like,
I did not see Washington being able to put up as many points as they put up, though. Like, I figured it was going to be like a 30-30 type of game. I did not see Washington scoring the way they did, even with Detroit's defense being as banged up as they are. I thought Jaden Daniels was going to turn it over at least once or twice, just because Detroit does have an opportunistic defense. Even though they are hurt, they can still force turnovers. But I did not see Washington putting up the amount of points they put up. Like, they looked unbelievably good.
I feel like you're watching this through some rose-colored glasses here because, like, one of those was a pick 6 that was not on the offense, and a couple of those turnovers were in positive territory. I would hope to hell you can capitalize on that. Now, don't get me wrong; they look great, and
But the thing with
the championship game. But let's not pretend that they're like this juggernaut that's steamrolling people.
No, they're not. But you got to remember though, what is the one thing that they were able to do that a lot of teams couldn't do all year? They were able to get pressure on Jared Goff. Like, that offensive line, for the most part, all year was able to keep Jared Goff upright. Washington was able to get a pretty good amount of pressure on Jared Goff the whole game.
Oh, no, they definitely were. And I'm not saying they didn't play well, but let's calm down on crowning them champs here.
Oh, I'm not crowning them champs.
Well, and not that I remember. Let me just make sure that I'm right. That they did score over 30 points on them, right? Like it was 31 points put on Washington's
Correct.
defense.
Yeah.
I mean, so it's not
With
like
turning it over
Yeah.
5
yeah,
times.
yeah, and that's exactly. It's and when I think about how like he had 313 yards and 3 interceptions. Obviously, the rushing you had close to 200 yards in rushing. He had 105 by Gibbs alone on 14 carries.
He's explosive.
14 carries for
Hmm.
105 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, he's
You know,
explosive.
Williams had 61 yards on 1 carry. So it's not like that they were, I mean, it was like literally close to 200 yards. There was almost 500 yards. I guess there was almost 500 yards of total offensive total, right?
Yeah,
Well, they said they-
521, and there was 200 yards of rushing. So, I mean,
yeah,
and
they said like
300
600
yards passing. So it's not like they weren't moving the ball. Like, you don't turn the ball over 5 times, they win this game. But,
Correct.
I mean, being -5 in the turnover battle, you're not going to win very often.
The one
Right.
thing I will say about Jaden Daniels though is when you look at him on the sidelines, he does not look like a rookie. Like nothing seems to phase that guy at all. Like he's out there with the same type of like face, the same type of like emotion all the time. It doesn't look like the moment's too high for him. Even when things are going bad, it's never looked like the moment gets like too low for him. He's always like that level keel-headed guy, and everyone says like that's a trait that a lot of rookies don't have. And if you have that trait as a rookie, it's something that you can't coach. It's just there and you have it.
No. He is very calm and collected. The good thing is the Eagles are definitely going to win now because you're all over Washington.
So, but on top of that, I mean, the one thing that obviously Jaden Daniels, I mean, if he hasn't already, if he didn't win it ahead of time, I believe that he should win Offensive Rookie of the Year. You know what I mean? He's been by far playing amazing. And like I said, I agree. Like he has, even in losses, he's said the right things and he's done the right things, and he's been able to kind of shake off any of the issues or problems that may have occurred during the game. He doesn't let previous plays linger in his mindset, which is worthwhile. Um, But I mean, ultimately, I think this is going to be a really good game. I mean, this is a divisional game. This is game 3. We both won one. I mean, if you can almost argue, yeah, Eagles fans could argue that if Jalen Hurts didn't get hurt in game 1 in the first quarter, that we would have won that game. And the truth of the matter is that we can't say that for certain. You know what I mean? There's nothing saying that Jalen Hurts was going to have such a great game. He could have had a bad game that game. And ultimately we still would have lost that. You're right. 22 points has come back by Washington. Washington is a fourth quarter team. They do like to they do like to move. They do get a sense of urgency, which is important, especially in playoff games. But that being said, I still think that you're going to find that the game is going to be more indicative of game 1 than game 2. And I said, with everybody being 100%, I'm more on the Eagles side than I am on Washington side. I think that how long has it been since a rookie has made it to the Super Bowl? A rookie quarterback has made it to the Super
I
Bowl.
don't think any rookie quarterback has ever made the Super Bowl before. I thought
Dan Marino did, didn't he?
Dan Marino did. So that there's been somebody since then. I really believe that. I thought
Ben
you have to look
Roethlisberger
that
might
way.
be the other one. Was it Ben Roethlisberger?
Ben
maybe that did it?
Roethlisberger, he may have done it as well.
Was he a rookie
And
or
that
was
means
it
he
his
won it.
second year?
That means he would have won it as a rookie. So I don't know that that's the case either, but we'll have to look that up. But anyways,
No, yeah, it's the first rookie quarterback to make. Wait, no rookie quarterback has done it since 2010.
and that would have been 2010. Is that?
I don't even remember who was in this.
Yeah, I don't know who was in that one.
I want to say that's Seattle, isn't it?
No, Seattle was 05 and then 13.
Ben Roethlisberger did it in 2005
Yeah.
as a
Okay.
rookie, so he did get in as a rookie.
He did win as a rookie then.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, but he didn't win it as a rookie. It was really the bus that ran that team. So even though he was the quarterback, he was just a good manager at that time.
Yep.
Marino lost it, obviously. And then in 2010, I'm not even sure who was in. I mean, that's Super Bowl. Obviously, that's Super Bowl 45.
Yeah, 2010 doesn't make sense because 2010 would have been the Steelers and the Cardinals would have had Kurt Warner or Carson Palmer. So I don't know why it said that no rookie's done it since 2010.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
So,
well,
yeah, Roethlisberger
has done. Hold on, are you thinking about 2010 or 2011?
Could have been the 2010 season then. So 2011 Super Bowl, which would have been who was after that then?
What that would have been?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Fan.
We can't Google this. Is this a
no? Because I Googled it, and then when I Googled it, that's when I brought up that no quarterback has done it since 2010. But that's why I said that doesn't make sense because 2010 would have been the Cardinals and Steelers in the Super Bowl, and both of them would have had veteran quarterbacks.
Rob, right. I do think that Detroit will be good next year, but their best chance was this season because they're going to lose both their coordinators most likely. And so this team is going to look very different coming in next season. So although I wouldn't say they've officially peaked, this was probably their best shot.
So did Dan Marino actually do it as a rookie?
I believe it was his rookie year.
Because it says on this sportingnews.com, no rookie quarterback has ever started a Super Bowl. So Dan Marino had to have done it in year 2, same with Roethlisberger.
Yeah, I thought it. Well, so maybe it was his first year starting. I thought he started his rookie year though.
He might have started like towards the end of the year, but I think like that could have been a situation where like it was technically his first year as a starter getting to the Super Bowl. Yeah, this says no rookie quarterback has ever started a Super Bowl. So that would have been the same situation for.
Yeah, I'm not believing that though. I just saw that same. I just saw that same thing. I don't believe that that's the case.
Yeah, but if 2005 was Roethlisberger,
Dan Marino was a rookie, he made it to the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Well, I was almost positive that I remembered that right. And if 2005 was Roethlisberger's rookie year, they won. So.
Yeah, has a rookie quarterback ever played in the Super Bowl? No rookie quarterback has ever started the Super Bowl. There are a number of guys who have made it close, like Ben Roethlisberger, Joe Flacco, and Mark Sanchez. But they have never started a Super Bowl.
Joe Flacco was in 2010. No, that wasn't him.
It would have to have been Joe Flacco.
I did hear about Joe Flacco.
So, yeah, maybe no rookie quarterback has ever started.
Yeah, that's not accurate. I would bet money Marino that was his rookie year. Because that was one of the biggest things is he ends up losing and then never makes it back. Like that. Anybody watching, help out.
Everything I have, every thing that I'm showing on Google says nothing. And I'm even trying to say it. None of them are even bringing up Dan Marino going there as a rookie. Did you see the same thing that I saw, Pegs, too, where it said that?
Dan Marino's rookie season. I'm looking up Dan Marino now specifically. I thought his rookie season, that was the only time he ever made it to the Super Bowl.
Correct.
So I'm looking up his.
Yeah,
I'm pulling up his Pro Football Reference now. That's where you find out everything about it. So
yeah.
Oh, so you guys were seeing the article on MSN.
And this one is on.
Interesting.
sportingnews.com. If Jaden Daniels gets one more win on the road, he will become the first rookie quarterback to play in the Super Bowl.
Huh. Crazy. So it must have just been Marino's first year starting.
Yeah.
So maybe he didn't start all of his rookie year.
That would have been the same situation for Aaron. Well, not for Aaron Rodgers because he started some games the year before that. But that would have been Roethlisberger too because Roethlisberger didn't start the year that he was drafted. He came in midway through the season, his rookie year, and then took over full time the next year and got him there.
Interesting.
Yeah, because it says that Marino was 7-2 in Yeah, 7. It says 7-2. I'm gonna look up Miami in 1983. I just want to see if they were the ones that were in the Super Bowl, because I think they lost to Washington that year.
I'll be right. Hey, I just turned my camera off for a second. I just got to go grab my charger.
Yeah, no wonder. No worries. Got the Patriots logo too. Nice. And of course, while you guys are looking those up, we will talk about BetUS. You can bet right alongside us here on Coast to Coast using the QR code on the screen. Up to 125% of your first 3 deposits, 10% bet guarantee. Championship games. If you've never bet before, this is the time to do it. You only got 2 games to choose from, and they're both going to be good. So use the QR code on the screen. Bet right alongside us here on Coast to Coast. And of course, if you are in the Pacific Northwest, you can use this QR code right here for any of the 3 locations of True Fusion Gym, free 5-day pass, any of those spots. Bellevue, Ballard, University Village, Pilates Boot Camp, Yoga, and more. Find your edge at True Fusion Gym.
So, yes, in rookie season, Dan Marino's rookie season, not his first year starting, they lost to the Seahawks in the playoffs, in the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah, it would have been his second in 1984.
So is his first year starting. Got it.
Correct.
Yeah, so Jaden Daniels has a shot to become the first rookie quarterback to play in a Super Bowl.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, well, and that's listen, and congratulations to the young man. You know what I mean? It's he's had a great season. I mean, let's face it. I mean, between the coach coming in there, it's his first year as coach. The coordinators, he got the right coordinators together. Cliff Kingsbury, I mean, especially after stinking it up as a head coach, came right back into an offensive coordinator's position and shows what his worth is all about. And you know, it's like they have been doing what they're supposed to do. You know, like you can only win, and you got to play against who you're playing against. And so far this year, they have only lost 5 games. Right now, they are. You know, they were 12-5. Now they are 14-5 going into the NFC Championship game. And listen, that just tells me that you can only go up from there. I mean, obviously,
he's one of 6 quarterbacks to start a conference championship game as a rookie. Can you guys name the other 5? We already said 3 of them.
As a rookie. Well, you said Ben, right? Ben Roethlisberger is one. Is the Chiefs Mahomes one?
So we have Roethlisberger, Flacco, and Sanchez. We all said.
Mm-hmm. Then I think Mahomes also, because I mean the Chiefs.
Nope.
I mean that's the other thing we got to talk about is that the Chiefs have gone to 7 in a row.
Right. That's
AFC
wild.
Championship games.
Does not have Mahomes on this list.
So
that was Alex. That was probably Alex Smith in that first one.
Yep. The other one was very recent, and then the first rookie ever to play in a conference championship game. I don't know if any of you would get it unless I give it to you.
Yeah, well, it's definitely not Jalen Hurts because Jalen Hurts lost in his first playoff game.
The thing that Jalen Hurts played to get to the Super Bowl, though, was a rookie.
I didn't even think about that. I mean, we played. Oh, what's his face? You know, Mr. Irrelevant.
Brock Purdy.
Mr. Irrelevant.
Yeah.
And then the very first rookie ever to play in a conference championship game was 1999. Did not have a very long career. He was a second-round draft pick out of the University of Tulane, and he lost to the Rams in the conference championship game as a rookie.
Yeah,
Russ didn't do it with the Hawks. They lost to the Falcons in the wild card round that first year.
Was that so? 99? Would that have been Matty Ice?
Nope. Same division though.
Huh. So that means no. That couldn't have, because he came from San Diego, so it wouldn't have been
99.
I'm trying to think if it's in the same division. Carolina is that Collins? No,
Nope.
not Kerry Collins, right?
Nope.
Who do you got?
I can give you the team. Oh, the team is Tampa Bay if you can get that.
Yeah, so it makes me think that it's like, I mean, they won their first Super Bowl with what's his
They won their
face,
first
but
Super
he
Bowl
wasn't
with Brad Johnson. It was
Trent
before Brad
Dilfer.
Johnson got.
Wasn't it Trent
Nope.
Dilfer?
Yeah, to Trent Dilfer, yeah. It was before any of them. He did not have a long career. He was primarily a backup, but he did start the conference championship game as a rookie in '99. You'll know the name when I say it.
I'm sure we will.
Sean King.
Sean King.
Yeah, I
Sean
wouldn't have got
King.
that.
Second round pick by the Buccaneers in 1999, led them to the conference championship game after going 9-7 as a rookie that year. Then they got blown out by the Rams in the conference championship game.
That probably wasn't even really his fault. That was the greatest show on turf.
Exactly.
I mean, he was 13 of 30 passing in that game, so he didn't do himself any favors. But
Well, I mean, that's also, let's think about that now. You're playing against the best team in the league. That I think they went 14-2 that year.
14
And,
And they were taking points on people like nobody's business.
Yeah, they were scoring 30 and 40 spots all the time. I think that they were the team that actually owns the record for the largest disparity between points scored and points against.
Mm-hmm.
They actually had a pretty good defense as well that year. Interesting. Okay. See, there you go. So where is he now, Sean
That
King?
guy come in with fun fact of the day.
I think he's either coaching high school or I think he's an assistant coach in college now. He's still involved in football. He's just not obviously at the NFL anymore. I think he's a college coordinator somewhere.
Good for him. So, I mean, you think about teams that have quarterbacks that have gone to that level, to the NFC champion or the AFC championship game. And then again, to mention that the Chiefs, despite everything that everybody's talking about with them, that there's a potential that they could hit their fourth Super Bowl in a row. And the only other team to ever do 4 in a row were the Bills. Yep. They didn't win any of them, but they went 4 times in a row.
Yep.
And I wonder, is it?
And narrowly missed a fifth, actually. Because I believe they were in I forget if they were in the championship game or the divisional game the year before they went on their 4-year run. So, I mean, they were right there even a year before it.
Marv Levy was a good coach. He was a really good coach.
And
that was during like the Elway years and the Bernie Kosar years. I mean, you think about all the different quarterbacks that were in the AFC at that time, and it was really like Seattle was still an AFC team back then.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So it's there was that kind of going on because I remember Steve Largent. I mean, it was Rick Meyer that was thrown to him a lot of the time.
That era would have been, Meyer would have been like the last year of Dave Craig, probably.
Right, Dave Craig was the name. Yeah. Because I mean, at one point there was like I would watch Seattle games because there was is he going to catch a ball record? Like he had the most consecutive catches in games, and it was like at 88, 89. I think it ended at 88, and I'm sure that's been changed since then. Like somebody else has done that. That is eclipsed that. But at the time, that was like unheard of. That one person was getting all of these catches, you're getting a catch every game. Didn't matter. Like he never could get shut out. So it was. I mean, the league has changed so much since then that it's almost impossible not to have a catch if you are a wide receiver or a tight end even. But
what was even more amazing about that is when you think of the era that he was doing that was with Chuck Knox, right? Who was, everybody knew him as Ground Chuck because he liked to run the ball, right? So he's catching all these passes in a very heavy run first type of offense. And it took Jerry Rice to break all his records. So,
Right.
I mean, when you think of how limited the opportunities were and how much he maximized it, it was a phenomenal player.
Yeah, I mean and football was so much different back then. Like it was such a like I remember like I always was not a fan of John Elway. Like I just was never a fan of him, and I always wanted Bernie to beat him, and Bernie just could not do it. He just couldn't do it. It was so frustrating. And I don't know. There was one game specifically that I remember that they're in Cleveland, and Denver came to Cleveland and beat Bernie, and it was a close game. I mean, those were like typical battles. Like, and I think that might have been, when I say the drive in Denver, that could be it. You know what I mean? Not the drive for the 49ers, but I think Denver's got their own drive where they were able to just put together, and it went like 92 yards in very small amount of time for a touchdown. So, and that's how they won the game. But I remember watching that, and and then watching like the Giants and stuff like that to have, be winners, and Speaking of which, I saw a little video the other day of Lawrence Taylor talking to some kid in a supermarket or maybe like a Walmart or something. I tell you, that bastard looks good. He looks like he could still suit up. He's got a full gray beard, but still looks like he is in top-notch shape.
Yep.
And I love the fact that he still to this day is like, the Eagles were our biggest rivals. It's like it wasn't the Cowboys, wasn't Washington. It was always Philadelphia. And, and Strahan says the same thing. It never had anything to do with any other team. It was always the Eagles that were our biggest rivals. And that's when football was football. I mean, it was always, the Cowboys Eagles since 1980 and 81, that it was like the number one rivalry in all sports. And I know that stat guy could absolutely argue that between the Packers and the Bears.
That's not a rivalry. That's not a rivalry anymore.
It's not one anymore because the Packers just own the Bears, except this last game. But neither here nor there. I mean, it was always like the top five. Out of the top five, it was Eagles Cowboys and Eagles Giants. Those were the biggest rivalries in sports, all of sports.
Mm-hmm.
And that's awesome. Like and the fact that those guys still live like that. Like every once in a while, I catch up with a friend of mine who's got Strahan on speed dial. And I make a nice little video for him. Be like, yo, it's going to be great to watch the Eagles play, and your Giants, like, oh, what happened to them? Thanks for Saquon.
Right.
So, but that was when football was football, and you didn't have this, theatrics that Patrick Mahomes gets to do, where he gets to have the call called for him every time.
Yeah. No, exactly.
So,
it was one of the things that I always appreciated about how hard receivers had to work for yardage back then too. Because if you remember that era, the hash marks were wider too, right? So third downs, a lot of times, especially when you were on the positive side of the 40, was a dive play to the middle just so that they could get their kicker a good shot.
Mm-hmm.
Because it used to have the extra wide hash marks. So, I mean, it was hard for receivers to rack up yards.
And you could be a lot more hands too.
Yeah, a lot more hands.
You could be a lot more like that 5-yard window was always still a 5-yard window, but back then, like referees, if both players were hands, they would let you get by without after the 5 yards if both players were doing it.
Yeah, and within those 5 yards, you could be a lot rougher.
Yeah, you could almost throw them to the ground.
Almost. Like you could do a full block and stuff like that, and things like that. That was when you started to see the West Coast offense come into play. Like that kind of took that away, where you started to have receivers 3 yards behind the line, because up until that point they were kind of on the line or just off the line. It wasn't like 3 yards back. you never saw that. You know what I mean? And if you saw that, you thought it was a screen pass. So you always put the extra guy over there, and it was. And it wasn't until that where the dink and dunk started to really come into play, where you were doing those slants and you were doing those things. Because realistically, there should never be a reason that a slant play doesn't work.
Yeah,
except maybe when you're in the Super Bowl against the Patriots, and
right, exactly. Yeah,
you should be running the ball in the
your
first
other
place.
receiver doesn't actually do the rub route. Yeah, no, and it's one of the things that I appreciated about Dan Marino is the ridiculous yards he was putting up when you were still playing in the league, when you could beat up receivers, right?
Right. And so it's, and I don't know. I kind of feel that it's, there is got to be a little bit coming back. I understand that they want to stop the head hits and stuff like that. I really believe that it's no longer the helmet that they should be concerned about, that they should almost put together a chin guard, a better chin guard. That's where I feel like a lot of the situations are occurring, and nobody's really looking at that. Now, of course, I'm not a doctor. I'm not somebody who's doing anything with the physics of this. There are companies out there that do this tremendously, but I got to imagine that they have to do something that protects the lower side, because that's what Goff got. When Goff got that block, he got hit right underneath.
Yeah. No, he got rocked. There you go. Hey,
That's my Uber guy. Exactly. I'll work something out. I got to get a sticker for you or something to put it on there. But my Philly Sports Guy stickers are too small. But I will absolutely get you something over there to make that occur. I appreciate that, Joe. Joe's my Uber guy.
It definitely didn't pan out.
You guys, did you guys see that? Did you guys see that the Blue Jays got Anthony Santander on a 5-year deal?
I did not look at any baseball stuff.
I think it just came through like 10 minutes ago that they got Anthony Santander.
Oh, I mean, then how would I see that?
You have your phone next to you. That's how I got mine.
I'm trying to monitor the chat and everything there, guy.
I may just do that, Chris. I may just do that. Like I said, he gets every once in a while, like once every 2 years, he gets a message from me, and he writes back right away when my buddy sends it up to him. He's like, "Tell that SOB to shut the hell up. He's got nothing," and he knows, like he does smack talk back. So, and the fact that it's, like I said, that's what's fun, like he. Yeah. He's one of those guys that obviously he got to be everywhere. Like he kind of was like, oh, okay, now I'm going to be the good day. Now I'm going to be with Kelly Ripa. Now I'm going to be like, oh my God, like, come on.
He was on everything.
He was the original Jason Kelce.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like what Jason Kelce's kind of become. So it's like, I can appreciate that. It's kind of funny that one's a defensive end, one's a center. So the offensive and defensive line really showed through in that. But I love the fact that I can mess with the guy and he can mess back, and he gets it, and he realizes that that rivalry still holds true in his heart and in my heart, because I've always said that the Eagles season doesn't begin until we play the New York Giants, and that's a real statement. And I feel like that over the last 8-10 years, it's been that way. So,
yeah,
fun.
To the top of the hour.
You know what? We never did talk about the Buffalo game. Just in case anybody knows, Buffalo won. Baltimore lost. Baltimore was a little upset. Lamar Jackson was very upset about it. He was like, "We got to hold the ball."
Actually, he's got to hold the ball more so than. I mean, Mark Andrews ultimately lost the game by dropping the 2-point conversion, but Lamar Jackson didn't do his team any favors in the first half by a fumble and an interception, just some of the way he played.
Right.
Well, so one of those interceptions looked like they just weren't on the same page. Like he thought his guy was going to break up the field, and he didn't. But yeah, the fumble. I mean, you can't hold the ball out like that. So yeah, I mean, they definitely hurt themselves a lot. So, But, one of the things that I don't know why they can't figure this out, but Derrick Henry, 16 carries. Every time this year, 16 carries or less, outside of an overtime win with the Bengals, equals a loss. Hand that man the ball.
Look at what he did in the third quarter.
No, that's what I'm saying. And it's not like the game was out of hand where you just had to abandon the run game. They just didn't.
He was hold on. Henry ran for 5.3 yards a carry for 16 carries, 84 yards. Hill, I'm not even sure who that is. I got to imagine he's another running back. Went for 50 yards, had 8.3 yards a carry. Why are you throwing the ball? Were they behind or like I didn't see this game. So that's why it's kind of frustrating with what I'm saying.
That is the thing. Is they keep getting away from the running game for no reason. Like the running game was working. The conditions were terrible. It's set up for the run. Why did you stop running as the best, arguably either the best or the second best running team in the league? What are you doing? So it's they deserve to lose that game. You can't turn the ball over and then get away from the thing you're good at. That's 2 years in a row.
Agreed.
As wild.
Agreed.
That being said, if you're watching on YouTube, be sure to like and subscribe. Helps us to bring our content to you. And of course, if you are watching on Roku, stay tuned for the next hour. Otherwise, we are going to get up out of here. We will see you all tomorrow.
Take care, guys.
Introducing National Streaming Sports, live and on-demand sports talk programming that you can access 24/7. For the premier sports talk experience, tap into our Roku channel. Start your mornings with Mac and Jack covering all the weekend sports action. Then pour a cup and enjoy all the sports you can drink on the Coffee and Sports podcast. At midday, talk sports from east to west on the Coast to Coast podcast. Followed at night by some hot girl talk with Prim and Proper Sports featuring Sonia Pearson. Talk boxing on the Gloved Fist. Yankee fans tune in for Start Spreading the News. And there's more on the College Sports Huddle and Sports Scope with Robert Butler. There are 20 podcasts in all and 70 weekly shows giving us a 3.4-star viewer rating. To find us on Roku TV, search for National Streaming Sports on the Roku search bar. Click on the logo and you're in. National